In this video, we're going to finish up talking about what the first 2 weeks of a new placement is like. So I'm going to take a little different turn with this video. The first two videos I talked about details. In this series, I want to talk about some generalization. So let's just start off by saying the first 2 weeks are going to be incredibly difficult. They just are. They're chaotic. There's so many appointments that you have to set up. You're getting to know these children. You're getting to know their personalities. You're trying to mesh them with your family. You're trying to figure out how your schedule looks. And so there's a couple things that you can do to make this easier, this transition, this first 2 weeks easier. So I want to start with that. So first is getting organized before you ever get a placement. So what do I mean by getting organized? Well, having all the things that you're going to need in place before your first placement ever shows up. So you know you're going to have to take them to the doctor. You know you're going to have to take them to an eye doctor. You know you're going to have to take them to a dentist. So know where the dentists are. Know where the eye doctor are. Know the pediatrician. Figure out who takes Medicaid, where you're going to take them. So you have all that in place. So all you have to do is make the appointment. You still have to make the appointment, but at least you don't have to worry about all of that stuff. More than likely, you're going to have to sign them up for therapy. Again, know where a children's therapist that takes Medicaid is. You're going to have to enroll them in school if they're school age. Understand what your school district requires. What paperwork do they require? What is the process? Know all of this stuff up front. Also, you also want to think about things like toys. Do you have the age appropriate toys? Do you have their bedroom set up? Do you have anything to do with what that child needs? Do you have comfort foods in your house waiting? The more you can do, the more you can have all of this stuff ready, the easier your life is going to be. Because trying to figure out where all this stuff is once you get a placement, it's just chaotic. Second thing I want to talk about with your first 2 weeks is don't really set any expectations as to what the first 2 weeks are going to look like, because every child's different. Some are going to mold into your house and it's going to feel like they've been there forever. And others, it's just going to be this weird tension that you don't know. And that's okay, because that's sort of normal also. And so don't put any expectations. Don't set benchmarks of, well, they'll be in a routine by the end of the first 2 weeks, or will be communicating well by the end of the first 2 weeks, or any expectation. Go into this with the attitude of wherever they are is where I'm going to meet them, and I'm going to be okay with that. I'm going to be okay that they don't want to really talk to me. I'm going to be okay that they talk to me all the time. I'm going to be okay that they call me mom. I'm going to be okay that they don't call me mom. I'm going to be okay that they eat all their dinner. I'm going to be okay with them not eating. And I know this is repetitive, but this is really critical, because too many people that become foster parents go in with expectations of how it's going to happen, and what's going to happen in 2 weeks, what's going to happen in 30 days, what's going to happen in 60 days, what's going to happen in 90 days. And I have to tell you, when you do that, all you do is set yourself up for failure, because it never works out the way we want it to work out. The other thing, I touched on this in the other video, is the first 2 weeks, yes, rules are important and you need to set boundaries, but be very careful. Remember, they are scared to death of you, and they really are. They may not show it, they may not act like it, but they don't trust you. And if you put yourself in their shoes, you wouldn't trust them either. So just understand, in that first 2 weeks, one of the things I would do is very gently start to find out what some of their likes and dislikes are, and make sure that you're incorporating those likes into their routine. If they're old enough, I would say 4 and above, I would start trying to figure out what kinds of activities they would like to do that are outside your home, and slowly start to get them involved in those activities. It's going to do a lot of things. One is, when they go to that activity, it's going to give you a break for an hour or two. Second is, it's going to allow them to feel more normal. It's going to give them a sense of normalcy, because they're going to be surrounded with other children, in that same age, doing some common thing. For us, it was always sports, but it can be Boys and Girls Club. It could be Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. It could be art club or band. It doesn't matter. Whatever sparks their interest. In that first 2 weeks, you want to start trying to very gently start to try to find this stuff out. And you may not be able to figure it out in the first 2 weeks, but if you find out, within that first 2 weeks that, hey, they really like to play soccer, and then you start talking about, hey, I'm, excuse me, I'm looking up where you can play soccer. People think, well, if I get a child in the winter, they can't play soccer. You play soccer all year round. It's called indoor, right? And you can find an indoor team to sign them up on. And so, again, it gives them something to look forward. It gives them a sense of normalcy. But that's really critical. But again, I think the biggest suggestion I can give you, the biggest thing or the biggest takeaway is, go in to this first 2 weeks, really within the first 30 days, without any real expectation. Just go into it with, if we get this accomplished, we get it. If we don't, we don't, and that's okay. You can go in with a plan. Nothing wrong with going in with a plan, but there's a difference between having a plan and having an expectation. An expectation is, we're going to get from point A to point B in a specific amount of time. And the problem is we're not working on your timetable. We're not working on my timetable. We're working on their timetable. And every child's a little different. Even if you get a sibling group, what you might find out is that one of the children, moves through this process of adjustment much quicker than the other. And we've seen that in multiple cases. I will tell you, just from a side note, sibling groups I have found to be easier. And part of the reason why is because they have each other to rely on. And that's a big deal. They're not doing it alone. So they feel like they have this other person that they're doing it with. And that's really a big deal. So again, the first 2 weeks, really it's the first 30 days, are extremely hard. Just know that after you get through the first 30 days, it's going to get so much better. But don't put a lot of expectations around the first 30 days, and understand that for 30 days, you're going to question yourself if you're doing it right, if you can continue to do it. You're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel emotionally exhausted. You're going to feel like you call your caseworker in many cases every single day. Even though you're not, it's going to feel like every day you're calling your caseworker. And that's just normal. But also know this, that you're going to get through that first 2 weeks, 30 days. Every child's a little different. And you're going to come out on the other side, and you're going to get some kind of routine going. And it's going to get good. And that doesn't mean you're not going to have highs and lows. You're going to have good days and bad days. But I'm telling you, that first 30 days, it feels like a year sometimes. And you feel like when you get through that first 30 days, here's what I don't know. I don't know at the end of 30 days if you're just so exhausted and wore out that you just look at every little thing as a win. or if something magically changes. But it might be the first. It might be that you're just wore out and you see every little thing that goes positive and you're like, woohoo, life is great. Look at what we're accomplishing. And that might be true too. But again, don't give up. Make sure you have your village around you. Make sure you have people that you can talk to, because you're really going to need that support network around you in the first 30 days. You know, I forgot about this, but this is good to talk about. I said be prepared. Well, part of being prepared is having your village, having people that you know you can call and bounce ideas off of and questions. You have that person that you're going to be able to just call and just vent because you're going to be frustrated, and know that it's not going to be family members, because they're not going to get it. It's going to have to be other foster parents, because they're the only ones that are going to get what you're going through. Your village is really going to keep you going that first 30 days, because I promise, when you call your village and you say, I don't know that I can do it anymore, they're going to say, yes, you can. It's just keep going. It's going to get better. You call your family members and you say, I just can't do it anymore, they're probably going to say, well, just quit. And that's not what you want to hear. You don't want to quit. You just feel exhausted, and that's what your village for. So make sure you get your village. Your village will also come over and help you. They'll take some tasks off of you that, meaningless tasks, but every task that you can get taken off of you in that first 30 days is a lifesaver. So I really hope you enjoy this. The next video coming up is we're going to do a 2-part series about birth parents. So until then, have a great day.